Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia offers a solid lineup of roller coasters ranging from their B&M dive coaster to their Intamin Blitz coaster. They have a lot of things to choose from and a lot of great family attractions as well. And in today's video, I am going to be ranking all of the roller coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg as of 2022, so let's get into the ranking. Coming in last is Grover's Alpine Express, which is a standard kiddie coaster by Zier, and this roller coaster has a pretty standard layout, very boring, 2 helixes with a drop, it's 24 feet, nothing to talk about here. Coming in at number 8 is a classic, and that is Loch Ness Monster, and while this coaster is low on this list, I still enjoy this coaster. Every time I visit Busch Gardens Williamsburg, I definitely make sure to catch a ride on this thing. It's a classic, opening in 1978. It has interlocking loops, which is a very unique and rare feature. And overall, this is a pretty good coaster. It's definitely well maintained and is currently my favorite aero looper, but is by no means an outstanding coaster. Taking the number 7 spot is Tem Pesto, and you guys are probably saying right now that I'm being too harsh on this coaster, and I do admit it has a lot of potential, guys. It's super forceful. In fact, all Skyrocket 2s that I've rode are very forceful. The problem is the restraints. Skyrocket 2s by Premier Rides carry some of the most uncomfortable restraints I've ever experienced, and those are the comfort collars, and ironically they are not comfort. They are not comfortable. They're for the GP to make them more comfortable during the ride, and the only Skyrocket 2 that I've ridden so far that doesn't have those awful things is Phobia Fear at Lake Compounds, and that is a very enjoyable, forceful ride, but until they make all Skyrocket 2s without the comfort collars, I don't think I'll be riding Tem Pesto again. Coming in at 6 is Invader, and this is a GCI wooden coaster with not too impressive stats, standing at 74 feet with a maximum speed of 48 miles per hour. But in my opinion, this is a very underrated GCI wooden coaster. It offers some good airtime and is pretty forceful in some parts. I do admit it is small and definitely best for a starter coaster, for families, for younger kids. And this isn't the best coaster ever, but it is smooth, and there are some good pops of ejector throughout the layout of the coaster. But you're going to have to sit in the front row or second row, closer to the front to get all that airtime if you want to get any, because you're not going to find it in the back. At number 5, we have Verbolten, which is a launched family coaster manufactured by Zier that opened in 2012, and this is a very fun little ride, and actually very forceful for a family coaster. It has great theming, very good for a Busch Gardens park, and I just love the little indoor section themed to the Black Forest, which is supposed to be in Germany, and there's a lot of German theming going on in the coaster, and this is just a very fun coaster, especially that drop track. And while this isn't the most forceful coaster in the world, it is definitely a fun one, especially the final drop off the bridge, diving down next to the water. That's just a really fun element. And in the back row, you'll get a good pop of ejector off of that drop. Overall, Verbolten, definitely an outstanding family coaster, and definitely one that I'll be riding again. Coming in the number 4 spot is Griffin, which is a dive coaster manufactured by B&M. And this roller coaster offers 2 great drops. I love the holding brake, hanging you straight down before you plunge 90 degrees from the peak height of 205 feet. And this coaster features 2 inversions, which is the 2 Immelmans. And while I usually love dive coasters, I do have a slight problem with Griffin. And that problem is that this coaster is pretty rough. Not rough as in like extremely rough, but there is a noticeable rattle on every valley of the coaster. So at the bottom of the first drop, There's going to be a strong rattle. Same with the second drop. And while it doesn't bother me too much, I just thought I'd point it out. And these dive coaster trains on Griffin are massive. They seat 10 across. So even though the coaster only has 3 rows, it fits 30 riders in every cycle. And that is just crazy, guys, how wide the trains are. And from the top of the lift hill, you'd get a great view of the river and the whole park. Starting off the top 3 is Alpengeist, which is a B&M invert that was 5 feet short of being a hyper. And this roller coaster opened in 1997 and is one of my favorites for offering a highly intense, compact layout, diving in and out of the terrain. I just love this coaster. It's insanely forceful. It never lets up. Well, it does let up, but we'll get to that later. The point is, this is an amazing B&M invert and one of my favorite B&M inverts, if not my favorite. And it's just such a good roller coaster for the Busch Gardens Williamsburg lineup. It's super fast, has some great inversions, but it does have one killer moment in the coaster, and that is the mid-course brake run. The mid-course brake run hits harder than any mid-course I've ever felt and is the most painful part of the coaster. And that is just sad, guys. But looking past that, this is an outstanding B&M invert. Coming in at number 2 is Apollo's Chariot, which was the first B&M hyper to ever open, standing at 170 feet with a drop of 210 feet. And I just love this coaster. While it may be the oldest B&M hyper, it still is such a great ride, offering great floater airtime and some good pacing. And if the trims on the mid-course aren't hitting, you will get a great pop of ejector going off of the mid-course. And I just love the setting of this coaster, diving up and down hills in the forest, the massive helix. Such a great coaster. If you have not ridden Apollo's Chariot, you have to ride it. And it is definitely the most underrated B&M hyper I've ridden. Every time I've gone to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, it has had a walk-on, which is good for me since I love this coaster. But definitely give it a try. It is very underrated. And such an outstanding coaster for the Busch Gardens Williamsburg lineup. And of course, coming in at number 1 is the brand new Pantheon, which is an Intamin Blitz coaster that stands at a height of 178 feet, features 2 inversions, and features a maximum speed of 73 miles per hour. And I got my first ride on this in the end of March on opening day. And let me just tell you guys, since then, this thing has been hauling like crazy. This roller coaster is insane, guys. It has some great airtime and a solid layout. And especially that massive 90-degree vertical spike that takes my breath away every time. And that insane speed hill, giving some of the craziest ejector airtime you can find on any roller coaster. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's roller coaster ranking video for Busch Gardens Williamsburg. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Coaster Brothers and turn on the notifications where you will get notified whenever we upload new coaster content, which is very frequently now. And as always, guys, stay on the thrill side of life.